is about to start with lots of stories about poo and a bit of art. When it comes to Joanne, no, you won't find no faults. But if you mess with the bull, you might get the shorts. It's time for morning. It's morning with Bill and Joe. It's time for morning. It's gonna be a heck of a show. It's Bill and Joe.
Hello and welcome to Mornin with Bill and Joe. I'm Joe.
I'm Bill. Happy June, Joe.
It is June. Oh, gosh, I forgot. I usually like to reference the musical Carousel at the beginning of June. They have a
course.
number called June is Bustin' Out All Over. And
June is busting out all over.
yeah,
Yeah.
the beaches are crowded every night. From
Yeah.
Penobscot to Augusta, all the boys are feeling lusty, and the girls ain't even putting up a fight. Because it's June. Those are the lyrics, or close to.
Is that I did not know that about June. The girls don't put up a fight, huh?
Well, you know, the issue is the beaches are not crowded every night. Right now, it's not warm enough for beach trips, which I'm bummed about.
Yeah, but it'll protect you from those lusty boys.
That's true. Fair point.
Carousel. That's one that's escaped me. I assume it's a period piece. Lots of parasols.
So basically, I've been in this production, a community theater production of Carousel, and I played the daughter of the Carousel barker. He passes after getting in a knife fight. And
Of course, it's a carousel.
yeah, I only appear like in the second half of the show, like toward the end. So that was great because I could just spend the first act getting ready.
Nice.
And then there's this beautiful ballet sequence where I sort of have a little ta-ta-ta. That's not...
By the way, you just sounded like a female Jeff Goldblum. I have this little ta-ta-ta.
No, what is it called? A tete-a-tete or a fete-a-tete or...
I think it's ta-ta-ta. I don't know. I like the way you say it. Ta-ta-ta.
Anyways, with I don't know if he's supposed to represent a horse on the carousel or another barker, but it's this idea of like I'm young and like falling for an older guy, and I think he hits me. Or no. The ghost of my father comes back, and I think he hits me. And you know, spoiler, it was an abusive relationship between him and my mother. And I say to my mother, but it didn't hurt at all when he hit me. And she's like, that's what happens when you're in love. The messaging is really not great in this musical.
This is the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was just this fun little carousel romp.
No, there's deeper messaging. And it's Hammerstein. I don't know if it was Rogers and Hammerstein. It was like one of them with someone else.
One of the Steins.
You know, I'm really doing a disservice to all of my musical theater history.
And victims of domestic
buffs.
abuse.
That too.
Well, how are you? How was your weekend?
Good. What did I do? Took a trip to Jersey. It seems like that's where you are now.
Good guess.
I saw my parents. We did our Parents' Day celebration instead of Mother's and Father's Day.
Yes, it's like Star Wars Life Day.
And we went to, gosh, you know, just like the Piece de Resistance of New Jersey, we went to a P.F. Chang's, and
Nice.
we shared some chicken lettuce wraps.
Is that a uniquely Jersey thing? Because our own Remy Spencer, huge P.F. Chang's fan, and she's a Jersey girl.
You know, I think they have it throughout the country now.
I know that, but I just maybe there's certain places that like these things more than others. Like say Pizzeria Uno, very big in Chicago.
You know, if you have a large family, I think P.F. Chang's is a way to go. Their dishes are very shareable. They also have a really good gluten-free menu, which is why we went, because of my mom.
Right.
But you know what? I remember loving going there in college because, and this was a trend, Bill, let me know if you remember, the mini desserts. Do you remember when these chain restaurants, all of them, it was an epidemic of small desserts, not just P.F. Chang's. I'm pretty sure Red Lobster was doing it. A few other
Weird.
places where it was essentially like shot glasses filled with tiny desserts. So if you're like me and you're kind of full by the end of the meal and you just want a little bite of something, it was great. But also you could order more than one. So if you wanted to try a few, it was
Why
just
isn't that
so
still
great.
big? That seems like a gimme.
Well, here's the thing. I'm now thinking about the people in the kitchen who had to assemble 1,000 tiny desserts. It was probably a cost of labor thing. I'm assuming that's why it went away.
Have a Keurig machine for that at this point.
Yeah.
You know, just some sort of assembly line robot AI deal that just can go 1 mini dessert.
Honestly,
mini dessert.
that is the only scenario where I am pro robots or AI if I could get my mini desserts back.
I can't see how that couldn't be possible. I mean, the future is now. You know, if people can go on these just one wheel. Every time I see those scooters where the guy's just staying on one wheel and the wheel's going, I'm just like, this is the future. Living in the future. So we can do that.
Yeah.
I think we can make a mini desserts.
God, if you could eat a mini dessert while on a one-wheeled scooter, that's progress.
That's some Jetson shit right there.
That's the carousel of progress.
Did you spend the whole weekend in Jersey?
No, we just went for the evening, came back up. What else did I do? Oh, I was like battling a migraine Saturday. So did a whole lot of nothing. But yeah, new week, catering a lot this week. Looking forward to it, kind of.
Money is money. One thing that I did not do was, of course, congratulate you again on another Knicks win.
Once again, let me follow that up with I don't actually care.
No, I know you're a Bulls fan.
Sure. If I had to pick one team, because that's all I have space for in my life, it would be the Bulls.
I will take it. Yeah, unfortunately, once again, they fall short in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I shouldn't even say it once again because it's so rare they are even there, Joe.
Right.
You know, it's rough stuff for all those Knicks fans out there.
I was under the wrong impression, which happens a lot. But they had, a few days ago, won a game that I thought meant they were advancing. Did that happen?
No, but they won. They won a game that allowed them to stay in after many people were assuming that they were going to quickly leave the series after being down 0-2. See, losing both games at home. So all of that was big news. And so thinking perhaps like maybe they could somehow figure this out. But game 6, that was it. Yeah,
I think that's why I get so confused is that Knicks fans treat each win like it's the win. Like they've won it all. When in fact, they have not. And I think that's
the crowds around MSG.
But that's then what makes the next loss, I think, even more disappointing.
Well, yeah. I mean,
you celebrated too hard.
Yes. You would think that this would be something they'd be aware of at this point, but thoughts and prayers. I certainly know how it feels. But other than that, I got a recommendation for you. I was with my aunt this weekend, and sometimes it's tough to find something that would be equally enjoyable for both nephew and aunt. But thank you, Netflix. There's a lot of options. Tell you, on the surface, you wouldn't be interested. You're gonna love it. Octopus with an exclamation point. 2-part series on all things octopus. Joe, they are fascinating. And they're so smart. They've got different kinds of guests. One of them being Tracy Morgan, formerly of Saturday Night Live, who apparently is just a huge, I don't know what aquaphile, if that's a thing. He has got enough tanks at his place, probably from the settlement of his horrific car crash, that it resembles the New York aquarium. It's unbelievable. Like he's got all kinds of sharks, all that, and he's a huge fan of octopuses. And after they're interviewing him, he's just got all these great sound bites, and they interview him from different areas of his house, and each aquarium is just more spectacular than the next. It's hilarious. He knows just everything about all things the ocean. And at one point, he's just like, I stopped buying octopuses as pets because they only live 4 years, and I was sick of being sad. And it was just very Tracy Morgan. But it is amazing. They only live 4 to 5 years, and yet they are so smart. But
Wow.
it's really good. I highly recommend it. Phoebe, I don't know if you ever saw Fleabag, but the girl that
Yeah.
is in Fleabag, Phoebe
Phoebe
Waller,
Waller-Bridge.
yeah, she is the narrator. I think she wrote it too because it's very her humor in it. But
Mm-hmm.
I think you will like it.
Yeah, I have known that octopuses are very smart. I watched that documentary. I think it was called like My Octopus Teacher or something.
They talk about that. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that really started the public's like fascination with this animal,
Mm-hmm.
this sea creature. Yeah, if I were Tracy Morgan, like why wouldn't I have all those tanks and them as pets? Because I think the most frustrating thing about any sort of sea creature that you keep at home is cleaning the tank, is this sort of
Oh yeah.
chore that goes along with having that as a pet. But when you have that kind of money, you can just like have like your staff someone whose job that is.
You meet
So,
some of that very staff right there. Yeah,
oh,
I
well,
kind
yeah.
of forgot how much money he did make on that thing. I'm assuming that's part of it. But yeah, I went through a brief aquarium, various exotic fishes period when I was a kid, and emphasis on brief because it was just too much work. You got to put all these
Yeah.
types of chemicals in the
Yeah.
water, and I even had a freshwater shark at one point. But they're all like this big.
Oh, boy.
And yeah, it didn't look like Tracy's either. It's about the size of a radio. So, it could only have a
Um,
couple colorful fish.
so this is on what, Netflix?
Yes.
All
There's
right.
octopus with an exclamation point. So you really know what you're getting into there.
Maybe I'll check it out. However, they just dropped some new murder
Nice.
stuff.
Oh,
So
boy.
I watched one
Yeah.
of those on Saturday. There's more to do. What I appreciate now is that they have a little label on the images of their offerings that say if it's new.
Yeah, I think they've done that for a while, though, have they not?
Maybe, and I just haven't noticed, but
Maybe I've
I've
been noticing
mentioned
it.
before that my issue with all my love of murder documentaries is I can't remember which ones I have already seen. So now when I see that it's new, I know I haven't seen it.
Some might say that's a big issue. And not
Why?
your issue with them, but the fact that perhaps you have issues, that you have seen so many that they are now on repeat viewing. That's almost insatiable bloodlust, is what that is.
Well, there is a lot of blood.
And you lust for it.
Sometimes I tete-a-tete with the blood. But hey, speaking of, this is a good segue for you. Speaking of Tracy Morgan and the Knicks and Courtside Seats.
Oh, yes. I think I included because where else are we ever going to use it? NBA Jersey Week graphic to go along for this, because it reminds everyone what I waste my money on. So yes, this is, and I've always thought this is fascinating because it's basically, and there no place is there. I think this is more interesting than more this about LA's celebrity row culture, because the thing about LA, the Lakers in particular, is that their owner isn't, how do I put this, Joe, a dick. So there's a
Yeah.
lot more intrigue when we're talking about Madison Square Garden and the celebrities therein. In this any given night, writes the New York Times, Celebrity Row in Madison Square Garden can feature Larry David, Timothy Chalamet, freaking out with Ben Stiller over an unlikely bucket, channeling the city's hopes and dreams of a championship after a 52-year drought. Stars, they're just like us. MSG and Knicks owner James Dolan. Joe, if you had 4 hours, I could tell you how much of a prick this guy is. A
Yeah.
trust fund weasel. Himself apparently decides who gets to sit where and when. Of course he does. Scheduling to fill celebrity role can begin with 3 weeks before game night. MSG staffers on the small team dealing with VIP clients will contact managers and agents, figure out who is available for games. They will overbook to ensure a famous face. They're like Delta is in the front row in case someone drops out. If everyone shows up, B-listers are ushered to other enviable seats that aren't feet off the floor. And models can always be counted on to fill a spot at a late hour. The team also takes care not to seat famous exes next to each other, an issue when, say, Pete Davidson is in the house. This is a consideration that other franchises don't always think of, like when Timothée Chalamet was seated just a few rows in front of his ex, Lily Rose Depp, didn't know they dated, at a Los Angeles Lakers home game in the first round of the playoffs. MSG's micromanager-in-chief, James Dolan, tends to take a look a few hours before tip-off. Quote, no one can go to their seats until he blesses every single game where people are sitting, says the concierge. The seats are free, but celebrity guests are reminded that they are being watched at all times on TV or the Jumbotron or by fans, and they advise them to be on their best behavior. No, you want to be on their worst behavior. Come playoff times, friends of the Garden get priority. In exchange, these famous fans, think Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, John McEnroe, Bad Bunny, Fat Joe, are expected to wave to the camera and do some promos for MSG or its Garden Dreams Foundation. One can also become unfriended by the Garden. In 2018, Dolan reportedly banned Woody Allen from Suite 200, not for allegations of sexual abuse, but because he refused to do a promo.
Yeah.
Spike Lee, of course, pays for his tickets. He can't afford to be distracted by the seeding games of Celebrity Row, so he just pays for it himself. So, Joe, what do you think?
You know, first, I think I would hate to be on the staff that has to orchestrate all of this, who reaches out to the managers, who does the inviting, who does the initial seating chart, and then probably spends hours trying to figure out where to put who, only to then have Dolan look at it and get his greasy little fingers on the plans and screw them all up. And this poor staff who worked so hard. And I think some of it too is just to display dominance or control, because like I once had a restaurant manager, a GM, who told me once, like we got in a shipment of beef, as a restaurant does, and everything was fine with it. But he said, you always find something wrong just to show them who's in charge. And I thought that was so shitty.
What?
I thought that was so shitty because, well, if everything is right, you praise the good behavior and then hopefully get more of that. I sort of understand that thinking, but I'm also like, no, we're humans. Don't be an asshole.
Right.
Also then, you know, once I receive my Emmy, Oscar, Tony, and
You're gonna have
undoubtedly am asked to go to the Garden weekly, I don't know that I would want to be courtside, like feet on the floor, for a few reasons. One, I'm going to get hit by a basketball. Like I just know it. And it'll be the 1 second that I am distracted. And then there's going to be, you know, all these shots of me on every news outlet, just like head in the face with the ball. So we don't want that.
That would be my Christmas, my birthday, everything in just one basketball game.
Also, like, you have to be on the whole time. Like they said, there's fans looking at you and snapping pictures. There's press. You could be on the Jumbotron. And we all know I don't have a very good poker face. You know,
So true.
I'll take a look at the celeb next to me and do like a weird face, and then, oh no, there's a feud happening. Also, I tend to drink at these games because what else is there to do? I'm going to have to pee like a million times. And I'm sure they don't want me getting up and down. So like just logistically, I don't think it makes sense for me to sit courtside. So that's why I'm going to say no.
I love the fact that you really thought this out. I will address the point that it is F to the R to the E free.
Yeah.
Small prices to pay, I think, overall.
But
those things
again,
usually run quite a lot.
Why do we give people who have the most money in the world free stuff? It annoys me so much. I would, I'll accept. And then once I get there, I'm going to find like a mega fan and give them my ticket. I'm sure they wouldn't let that happen.
There's
But
absolutely no way. Yeah, that is not how it works. But I'll tell you, for whatever reason, this article really resonated with the New York populace, because more than once I've been at a bar and heard the bartender go, "You know what? They give Timothy Chalamet, he gets the fucking tickets for free. Did you know that? He gets them for free."
yeah.
I've heard this on repeat. And by the way, they always single out Timothy Chalamet for some reason. It's none of the
Yeah.
other celebrities, and it's like these big, like, beefy dudes. I don't know why. I think I said beefy because you just did. It also made me think of Gino. These big beefy bartenders that you would think would not even know who Timothy Chalamet is, but they are so pissed that this guy is getting these free courtside seats.
Yeah. Lately, there's been some video going around of Timothy and Kylie Jenner, because they're dating, sitting next to each other.
Yes.
And she is like all over him. She's like cradling his head into hers, like making him kiss her. And some people are like, "Oh, look at how great, look at how cute." And I'm like, if I were Timothy Chalamet, I would be annoyed because you can't push her away because everyone is looking. Also, like, time and place. What about the squeaky floorboards and the smell of sweat is like turning you on that we have to kiss in front of thousands of people? It's just so performative and strange.
I'll send you a fantastic bad lip reading of Timothy Chalamet and
Nice.
or her at like some tennis game or something that they do the voices. It is very good.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, I mean, I don't want to put on airs, but I have indeed gotten courtside seats thanks to one Mark Lamont Hill, who is a longtime Sixers fan and made the mistake of inviting me up to Philadelphia for a Bulls game.
Yeah, bad mistake.
And talk about, you never know when you're on camera. I am on YouTube. If you play your cards right, maybe I'll forward you the link after the show. We've actually run it before, where when Derrick Rose was at the height of his Derrick Roseness and still playing for the Bulls, he fell into my lap. And as he was getting up, I immediately decide, I don't know what I was thinking, I just grab his ass that. Yeah. And you can see, and it's in slow motion on YouTube, you can see Mark just being like, "Oh, man." And then I'm so proud of myself. You see me going over to tell him the awesome thing that I just did. By the way, I will say Derrick Rose must get this a lot because the man did not even flinch. But the reason that Mark was less than happy with me was that we were sitting right next to the owner's daughter, who saw all of this as well. Although overall, I think no harm, no foul. I don't really see what the huge problem
Bill,
was.
You assaulted an NBA player.
Some might say sexually, but he was wearing these shorts. He's asking for it.
No, Bill.
Be better. But my overall report, of course, would be that, and I'm a hypocrite because I was forced to go back, but it is a lot like first class tickets. When you do courtside, it's hard to go back. It is hard to go back. It really is. It's unlike anything I can possibly tell you. I mean, you're right. You're in constant fear of the ball hitting you or wanting to grab the ball. It's unbelievable. It's a feast for the senses.
Well, I do think if I were courtside, I would pay attention more because the action is right there. Like, how can you not?
It's a different game. It's very much hockey is similar too. If you are right by the ice, it's tremendous.
Yeah. Ooh. Although I know that little plexiglass protects you.
Very loud. Yes.
But I would be just so nervous of getting hit with a puck.
I love watching your brain go over scenarios, no matter how fantastic, as if this is something that's about to happen or happening.
Yeah. Why is it that in all of my fantasy scenarios, I am right where the action is, but I'm getting impaled by an object?
This is why you might have a problem with the true crime stuff. Might be time to take a little bit of a break.
You know what? Tom Cruise. I want to talk about that.
I'm embarrassed I didn't know about this guy already. I am now a new fan. Guest op-ed in the Times by one Bruce Handy. Got to give him a plug. He is the author of Hollywood High, a totally epic, way opinionated history of teen movies, and he is writing a course about Tom Cruise. Here's a little bit. The new Tom Cruise movie, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, God, that title, is nearly as exhausting to watch as it must have been to make. Mr. Cruise famously does his own stunts, one of the movie's best selling points. You can admire his stamina at 62, but a movie shouldn't make you feel like you're being cornered at a party by a guy who can't stop telling you how freaking amped he is.
Yeah.
I have never heard a better description of
Yeah.
Tom Cruise in my life. Final Reckoning, even the full title is taxing, is a movie so big it has, by my count, both 3 MacGuffins and 3 set pieces with nuclear bombs that need to be disarmed before their timers go off. We get to see Mr. Cruz dangle off of not 1 but 2 biplanes and sprint back and forth. Boy, he loves his running scenes.
Yeah.
Across the streets of London with arms pumping manfully when he could have taken an Uber. For several scenes in which the necessities of plot and beefcake delivery force him to strip down to his boxer briefs, we also get to marvel at his perfectly toned senior body.
I love that line. His perfectly toned senior body.
He's great. We should try to get him on. Which would be the envy of any recreational faculty, not just the pickleball courts at the villages. Quote, "It's actually hard to breathe," he recently explained to People magazine, discussing the finer points of hailing off a biplane wing. "You're so tired. Your eyesight's blurry. There were times when I didn't have the energy to get from the wing back into the cockpit, and I would have to almost fall asleep and wait until I had the energy to crawl back because we couldn't land if I was on the wing. We landed, and I was so cold I couldn't walk." Cruz can be a terrific actor, gifted with both talent and charisma, which you can see on full displays in varied movies like Born on the 4th of July, A Few Good Men, Jerry Maguire, Magnolia. Magnolia is great. It also had Interview with a Vampire. He is very good in. All made in the 20th century. Appearing in teen movies at the start of his career, he stood out as a minor character, even among the loaded cast of The Outsiders. Mr. Cruz's late period has become more effortful. Especially starting with American Made when he was running drugs undercover for the CIA. His stunt work risks curdling from spectacle into shtick. It's okay to remain inside an aircraft. Older pop stars sometimes choose to give up on having contemporary hits and gravitate towards more age-appropriate genres like acoustic blues or the Great American Songbook. Apparently, his next movie is an untitled project with Mexican director Alejandro González Iñárritu, who did The Revenant and Birdman. So he is claiming that those will probably have equally taxing physical scenes as well. Joe, I know you're all for doing your own stunts.
Certainly. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. Is that why we do that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he brought up an interesting point in this article of this idea, like the whole point of being an older actor, the projects you're supposed to do are the ones where like it's kind of easy. Like you've built this career so you don't have to do that anymore.
Sure.
You know, like think of all like even De Niro. When he started doing Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, like you do these movies for that sweet, sweet paycheck. You don't have to really do a whole lot. Not
You're
like
saying
De Niro,
there wasn't a lot of stunt work in Bad Grandpa?
Well, no, I've not like De Niro's really done a whole bunch of like this kind of stunt stuff in his career, but just like as an example of you know the types of films.
He certainly used to embrace really physically becoming the role.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is this level of, it almost feels a little thirsty and a little desperate from Tom Cruise. Like, dude, you're getting older. It's okay. It's okay. Sure, you can still do it, but it doesn't mean you should, because you might injuries. You have a greater chance of getting injured, and then healing takes longer. And you know, there's a part of me where like I'm wondering with the hubris, right? There's always a moment where it knocks you on your ass, and you're like, oh. Granted, again, he has had injuries, right? He like shattered his ankle or something when he was filming one of the recent Mission Impossibles. But
yes,
there's something to be said about, I think it's fear-based, his decisions to keep doing this. It's like if he stops, then he's accepting or agreeing that he's getting older, and he doesn't want that.
It's like a shark. If it doesn't stop moving, It asphyxiates. It's got
Yeah.
to stay moving to stay alive. And Tom Cruise is Hollywood shark. And
Yeah.
also, like, you can tell it's starting to wear on him because now when he does the relentless and 24/7 press for Mission Impossible, Possible Dead Reckoning, he ain't like old Tom Cruise. Old Tom Cruise, he's jumping on the couch, he's getting into it with Matt
Mm.
Lauer, and there's this weird, crazy fire in his eyes. Now it's just sort of like the fact that it's his 20th interview in a row talking about the biplane stunts. He's sort of like, he's still trying to do it, but he's like, there's a little more tired thing to him. And he's like, yeah. And, it's really hard to breathe. And you can tell he said it a million times. And
Yeah.
he's got less of a poker face, Joe, when it comes to the whole process. And that's nothing but age, baby.
Yeah. Have you seen the newest one?
I have only seen, I think, one. I've only seen the first Mission Impossible and part of another one. Sometimes I think maybe I need to, because I know a lot of people that really like them. Sometimes I feel like I need to do just a whole marathon of them.
Yeah,
like 8 of them.
I think I mentioned last week, Douglas and I just rewatched the part 1 of this couplet
Right.
of the Mission Impossible, the final mission, whatever. And it's good.
It is good.
Definitely draws your attention. I was trying to read or do something else while Douglas was watching it. And inevitably, I'm just like, my eyes are glued to the screen. It's a lot of, like, oh no, is he going to make it? He is,
Right.
because, there's a second movie. But it is long. And then when we get to the end, I'm like, damn, there's another movie.
And this one's 3 hours.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm curious, my verbal crutch. I'm curious what happens. So I might watch it.
I got a lot to watch this week.
It's not high on my list, but, yeah. Well, I, for one, hope that Tom Cruise gets a nice break. Maybe he takes a nice long
that's what
nap.
Tom Cruise hopes for Tom Cruise.
I know.
I think a nice break is his kryptonite. I have nothing to get amped about, though. I need to find the focus of my ampness. It's too late.
Totally. Well, that's a good question. Do you think you would sprint through the streets of New York City to save someone or something, or to escape someone or something?
Absolutely escape. Come
Okay.
on. I know who I am. Yeah. And also, like, it's very difficult to run like that when you get to be our age. I don't know why I'm lumping myself into someone who's 62, but in shape, he's probably about 30 years younger than me. But you can't run like that anymore. It's like there's a flexibility that's involved that I just don't have anymore. Everyone passes me at Central Park when I jog.
Speaking of spreading depression and anxiety.
Like it already. I don't follow how Tom is doing that. He's trying to bring joy to our lives, but whatever.
No. I mean, his films give me anxiety.
Oh, that's true.
This is a study, thank you, New York Post, how kissing can actually spread depression and anxiety.
And
man, the way that
didn't you go through an emo
these...
phase? So that means you probably got more depression from the type of boys you were into.
Oh, of course. Yes. This article, gosh, who wrote this? Tracy
Morgan?
Tracy Swartz says, baby got back, BAC. Do I not understand that, Joe?
I don't get it.
Anyways, we all know that kissing and other close contact can transmit infections like the common cold, mononucleosis, and herpes.
Mononucleosis.
Who knows?
You didn't have a mono issue at school?
Oh, mono.
Yeah.
Well, we never called it the full name.
We were very cerebral grade school.
The only thing I remember from college with mono is when you were playing beer pong, you weren't supposed to stack the cups when you were done because that's how you get mono.
Stacking them?
Because I guess from drinking it and then it would touch all the cups.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the ball is flying and going on the floor, and we're still... Anyways, a new study out of Iran suggests that depression and anxiety might be transmissible through kissing, too. Depression and anxiety can trigger the release of the stress hormone cortisol, which can disrupt the delicate balance of bacteria in the mouth. Spouses can transfer this bacteria while smooching. Why only spouses? Anyone? In fact, prior research found that as many as 80 million bacteria are transferred in just one 10-second kiss. That's wild. The authors of the new study found that when one spouse had poor mental health and trouble sleeping, the healthy partner suffered similar symptoms after just 6 months, and bacteria were to blame. Science, blah. I don't know that kissing is to blame. Just from reading this, I would assume if someone is having trouble sleeping, that inherently interrupts your sleep. They're tossing and turning, which then wakes you up and makes you toss and turn. So your sleep isn't as beneficial. So then you are tired and start, getting sick more easily and experiencing depression because you're tie-tie. So yeah, I don't know. I would think that the boost of serotonin that a kiss offers, that boost of the good chemicals, would counterbalance any sort of depression or anxiety, or at least like even it out.
Even it out, right. Well, I guess this makes me the real hero. The reason that I don't date is because I choose not to spread the depression to other people.
Wow.
I don't want to say I'm a saint. I'm saying that maybe a bishop at some point.
You are the real hero.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's why you've been celibate for so many years.
That's it. The only reason.
Gosh.
Guess I'm a saint? I mean,
You
that's
know
not
what?
for me to say, right? That's for, I don't know,
Yeah.
Catholic Church or whatever. But
for anyone who says you don't do community service, they're wrong. That's the ultimate.
I'm single. That's
Yeah.
my community.
Yeah.
Ooh, there's a t-shirt in there somewhere. Joe, have you ever dated like really depressive artists and it's rubbed off on you? As they're rubbing on you?
Yeah, right. I was like, did I in fact physically receive depression? I have definitely dealt with moody actors. Let's call them that.
Sure.
But no, I think if anything that has been transmitted, it's been jealousy. Dating the really jealous people seems to then rub off on me.
Interesting.
Yeah, but although that was in my early 20s, I like to think I just don't care anymore about anything.
I believe that about you. Well, but they always say, if the person's probably really behaving very jealous, like they're just projecting because they have indeed
100%.
done something. Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's like what you fixate on is the thing you yourself are most insecure about.
I really want to see pictures of you when you went through. Was it it wasn't a goth phase. It was like more of just an emo. Like, was there lots of eyeliner phase? Like, I want to see what you wore back then.
So no, here's the difference. I was not emo. I had crushes on all of the guys who were into emo. So as a result, I would listen to all of that music.
Right.
I would go to these like scream concerts. Which is, where the bands are just like screaming.
Yes.
But I would just wear, because in Jersey, surf culture and emo culture are like siblings in my mind.
Interesting.
So it's like you could get away with just wearing the low-rise jeans and a tank top. And you're good whether you're going to surf taco at the shore or you're going to an emo concert. Like it was fine. But yeah, I mean, I wore black eyeliner because I was just, I don't know, an Italian girl in New Jersey.
I gotta see these photos.
But the back brace really did, if anything caused my depression, it was not kissing emo boys. It was living in a back brace 16 hours a day.
There's an album in there somewhere.
God, a really great emo album. I missed opportunity.
Well, you got anything for me? I'm jealous of the catering, man. I need some money.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of catering this week. Can I tell you, I worked last week at the Javits Center. I walked 20,000 steps in 8 hours.
Wow. That is insane.
Yeah.
How did you feel afterwards?
Well, I got a migraine the next day. I think my body was like, you're too old for this. You're not Tom Cruise, Joanne. You can't.
You're walking like this.
This mission is not possible.
Nice.
But hey, speaking of walking, you got some walking tours coming up?
Yeah, this Friday, guys. Go to Bowery Boys walks and then get Turtle Bay. And then I'm also available for the private ones. I might have a couple of those coming up soon, too.
Nice.
But, get me on all the DM me or find me or whatever. I'm really selling this.
Yeah.
No, that's
And
about
now
it.
for
And
the
also check
best-
out Octopus.
Okay. Best part of the show? There are more episodes. I don't think it's technically a new season, but more episodes of couples therapy I think it's on Prime. And Douglas and I love watching it because it makes us feel like the best couple ever. So if you want to feel really good about your relationship, I highly suggest watching it because especially this season, there's some interesting couples on there.
That's really just half the recipes for every reality show right there.
Oh,
watch it and feel. Oh yeah,
100%. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Give us a follow. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you want to see or hear more of or less of. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, I'm sure glad that's over.
That's all for this episode of Mornin with Bill and Joanne.
I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts.
Shut up, Bill.
Subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get podcasts.
Yeah, I wasn't listening either.
Very nice, Joanne. Touché.
For videos of this and other episodes, go to @MorninBillAndJoe on YouTube.
Bill, put the sword down.
Run, Joanne, run!
Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We would do it for you. Okay, that's a lie.
I never liked your show. Sorry, wasn't listening. See ya.